Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Aaron Christian. I am a membership and unit service executive with the Mayflower Council. Tonight we'll be talking about Scouts BSA to venturing transitions. The conversations tonight will talk mostly about processes for both troops, for crews. We're going to talk a little bit about scouting and how venturing plays into it, and we're kind of going to cover as a whole how these two programs work together and how we can best make this transition between the two. So first, I just want to start with this statement. And the reason being is a lot of people seem to think venturing is just Scouts BSA and green shirts. And in reality, it's not. Venturing is not older Scouts BSA, and training is the easiest way for all of our adults in the program to understand how venturing is a different program. So we're going to talk a lot about not just what you can do to get kids into your crew or get Scouts BSA to join a crew, but we are going to talk a lot about what venturing is so that everyone has a better understanding of this program to move forward. And in order to have that discussion, we need to talk about the aims and methods of scouting. So I've started with this quote here from Baden-Powell, because I think Baden-Powell really had a great understanding of what scouting is, and we've deviated from that a little bit in recent years, maybe. And it's good to go back and look at what the primary objective to start with scouting was. So Baden-Powell says scouting is a game for youth under the leadership of youth, in which elder youth can give younger scouts a healthy environment and encourage them to healthy activities, such as will help them develop citizenship. And really, scouting is just this. It's a game. It's an activity. It's something that our kids in society can do to develop themselves into better citizens. And that is just in line with the mission of the BSA. These kind of outline what the aims are. The whole aim of the program is to do exactly this. But we're going to talk about in a minute how the methods are different for each program. And I've heard a really great explanation of how the methods are different here, and that's the mailbox. So think of the mind of each scout as a mailbox. The mailbox is defaulted to close. And what we do in scouting is we try to find ways to open the mailbox. We do those things through the methods of scouting. So whether it be camping, whether it be adult association, wearing the uniform, things like that, those are opportunities to open the mailbox for scouts in the program to deliver the mail. And the mail is the aims of scouting. So really what we're doing is looking for opportunities to deliver the aims of scouting through the methods of scouting to best teach those to the youth that we serve. I think this is a great visual to demonstrate exactly how this process works and how it really is supposed to be interpreted by all our leaders. The mailbox is a great analogy for that. And what I really like is this continuum here on the side of the screen. So we're seeing on the right here, the aims of scouting right in the middle. Those are character development, personal fitness, citizenship, and leadership. But around the outside, you see the age of the student, 5 through 20. And at the different program levels, which correspond to the different ages, they have different methods. So we have methods for Cub Scouts that are like neighborhood service and activities, things of that nature. But you look at your venturers and they have adult association. They have high adventure. They're different methods that are all used to serve the same aim of character development, personal fitness, citizenship, and leadership. And we're all trying to get different outcomes for that age level, because obviously at each program level, we're trying to serve the youth at a level that's appropriate for their age level, for their maturity, for their understanding. All programs have the same aims and all the methods differ, the bottom line of that. And the scouting membership does not need to be a pipeline. I want to make sure that's important too. A lot of people think that the program, you need to go through Cub Scouts and Scouts BSA and into venturing. You don't have to. You can drop in at any time because the same aims will always be true. We're just going to use a more appropriate, different method to do so. So I bring all of that up because we're going to talk about venturing. We're going to talk about the methods of venturing in a minute. And it's good to understand that we're all trying to be a part of the same program and play together. And this is why it is seen as a pipeline, but we are doing different things. We are different programs with different ideas of how we should advance and how it works so that we can deliver this program to our youth. So what is venturing? Well, venturing is a program for ages 14 to 21, co-ed program that emphasizes on four main areas known as the ALPS model. So the A in the ALPS model is adventure. Adventure is mentoring, leadership, participating in crew-led adventures. High adventure, venturing, it's a core part of the program, being out and about and doing things you can't do anywhere else with a group of your peers. So this is definitely the most hands-off program that we have in the BSA, and it really allows the youth to develop and learn on their own. To add on to that, leadership, which is the L in ALPS, is so ongoing leadership development through training, mentoring, and hands-on leadership. The training and leadership they have to do in venturing, we'll talk about the rank structure in a second. They have to go to advanced trainings. They have to go, one of the requirements is if you're over 18, go take Wood Badge. It's an option to take Wood Badge, but that's something you can take. Take NYLT. Go through these advanced leadership trainings. So they're not only just, say in Scouts BSA, going and serving in a position for 4 to 6 months or something. They're doing that, and they have to train, and they have to mentor other people, and they have to actually have that hands-on leadership and understand, have that foundation in the leadership to be able to move forward in the advancement structure and in the program. Personal growth. So there's a lot of goal setting. We usually do them surrounding the 3 points of the Scout Oath: duty to God, duty to self, and duty to country. So and you find those, basically each rank, you have to choose a goal for you to set, and you have an outline of how you're going to get there. So that personal growth, that personal development is an important part of this program, and it kind of builds upon the other two before. So having the opportunities for the leadership and adventure, you kind of get to grow and be a little bit more individual. And lastly, service, which obviously we have in other programs too. And the service, while it isn't the most important part of the venturing program, adventure, I would argue, is probably the most important part. Service is still a tenet of the ALPS model. Leading and participating in community service is important for the program, is important for them in the program to learn and give back to their community as a method of scouting, and they can live by the Scout Oath and law as we outline in our mission statement. So quickly, rank structure. I know these say awards underneath right in the top right corner, but they actually are called ranks now. They were just recently changed about 2 years ago. So you have your venturing rank, your discovery rank, pathfinder rank, and summit rank. Those 4 ranks are earned in that sequence. The venturing rank, is kind of like your scout rank in Scouts BSA. You earn that formally after formally joining the program. Usually there's about 4 requirements. There's like a advisor conference. There is a ceremony they have to go through. They have to go to at least 1 meeting, things like that. While elementary in comparison to the other parts of the program, it's a key tenet for them to feel that belonging as a part of the program and learn to associate with the others in their unit and kind of learn about what venturing is about. Then you have your discovery and pathfinder ranks. These are kind of like a cross between your, say, tenderfoot and first class ranks, and even a little bit at your star in life, because you still have to do that, serve in a leadership and such. But really, you're still building on those foundations. You have to go on an adventure, a tier 1, 2, 3. Those are different levels of adventure. Those have varying lengths, varying complexity, varying planning things. So there's still a lot to build on there. You're building on those skills, just like you are when you're going to work on Eagle, which is the equivalent to the summit rank, which is the opportunity where the young person in the program finally gets to mentor a group of venturers, and they have to basically lead an adventure of their own. And that's the motto of venture: lead the adventure. So you're working up to that. You're working up to be a part of this program, work with others, work with your peers, lead your peers, and eventually mentor other peers to be leaders themselves. And I think this is a great little thing at the end here. Venturing is a flexible program, and the ranks are designed to help all venturers, no matter the crew specialty, to grow and develop. So venturing crews can choose their specialty. This means that if you want to be a venturing crew that focuses on backpacking, you can absolutely do that. Your program is focused on backpacking, but the rank structure fits all types of programs. It's intentionally vague for that reason. So you don't have to tie a knot or something specifically, but you are able to do this program in line with whatever the youth in the program want to do. And obviously, this is great because even somebody working on the summit rank still has an impact on somebody working on, say, their discovery rank, because they need to be able to mentor the other person to lead and move forward in the program. So this is a great little design, great model for any types of specialty that any units that may want to study a certain program would want to do. So it's great, intentionally vague there. And lastly, I bring this up because we'll talk about this a little more in a minute, but there's a path to Eagle Scout in the venturing program. And that's not a new thing. If you look in the corner of the screen here, it's actually what the explorers used to do, whether it be Air Scouts, Sea Scouts, explorers. They used to be able to follow a path in order to earn Eagle in those units as well. It's different now. Actually, venturers who have earned first class rank in Scouts BSA are qualified until their 18th birthday to continue with Scouts BSA advancement through venturing. There are a few caveats to that. For example, you need to decide if they're registered in a troop, who's going to oversee that advancement, and things of that nature. But it is a thing that's possible and something that a lot of members do. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how that works in a second. So venturing gets a bad rap, and I think it's not necessarily deserved. Because venturing is a very cool program, but it does have a few things that I think are worth mentioning that differentiate it from the rest of BSA. One of those things is to first say that older scouts are not taken from their troops, leaving Scoutmasters with inexperienced scouts. That's really not happening in our program. And actually, what we see most of the time is that venturers and are dual registrants in their Scouts BSA troops. So not often are we actually seeing that youth are leaving and going to the venturing crew and leaving their troop behind, but they're actually in both. You see a lot of the venturers that participate in the program, they want more. They want to do more. They just want to do in excess to what they're doing in Scouts BSA. And those are your go-getters. And that's really what's happening in a sense. The average tenure of a Scouts BSA is 29 months. But that tenure is extended by 57%, totaling about 45 and a half months when they join venturing. Now, this data is from a couple years ago, but the data has since tracked in a very similar pattern. It's very, very common to see these multiple registrants. Doing what I'm just saying here. Another issue that I also see with venturing a lot of the time, why I get some of a bad rap, is that a lot of people equate becoming Eagle with graduating from scouting. And I included this photo on the right here of A Great Moment by Norman Rockwell. And I included that because what I think is this is a very proud moment for this scout in this photograph. And I know when I earned my Eagle Scout, I felt the same way. This was a phenomenal thing. But there are still other opportunities. And while we should always treat earning the Eagle Scout Award with just as much prestige, we should also keep in the back of our mind that this is not the end necessarily for that scout. There are options for them to go and continue in the program till 21. They can even serve as adult leaders, and that's another thing too. They can continue on in the program. There's always something for somebody here. And being an Eagle is not the end of the line. So how can we prepare Scouts BSA? Well, what I wanted to include is another Baden-Powell quote. There's a lot of those in here. He's one of my favorite guys. And I think he listed this pretty beautifully here. What suits one particular troop or one kind of youth in one place will not suit another within a mile of it, much less those scattered over the world and existing under totally different conditions. So obviously, I think that breaks down pretty simply to say that what works for one youth in one place, or one troop, one town, one community, isn't going to work in the same for units in the next town over, or for the youth in the next town over. The big thing about the program is if something's not working for one youth in one place, it's always good for them to find opportunities to get the aims of scouting by using different methods. Maybe a troop uses a different method than the troop in their town does, and that's why they go to the next town over or two towns over. Or maybe they need to be in venturing, for example, because venturing demonstrates the same aims using different methods that suits that youth better. So what can Scouts BSA troops in their community, though, do to prepare venturing older scouts for venturing? Well, we know that most youth associate with others within their own age range. It's about a 4-year window, usually where they associate the best. So my recommendation is to start an older scout patrol or a venture patrol. A venture patrol provides a little more autonomy to that patrol to prepare for venturing program objectives. Now, let me backpedal just a little bit. Obviously, the words venture and venturing are really close, but they are separate things. So what we're looking to do is foster in the older youth in the program in Scouts BSA a sense of separation in a way where they can be have a little bit more exclusivity. They are the older patrol, they're in charge. But that doesn't mean that they're quote unquote better than everybody else. They are the leaders in that unit. They are the leaders of your younger scouts. But they need to demonstrate that leadership. They need to maybe meet certain criteria. We're going to talk about that in a second. They need to prove that they are the better leaders in the unit. And who decides that? Well, the youth decide that. They decide whether they want what type of person they want to be a part of that patrol. And that camaraderie and that sort of exclusivity in a way kind of creates a spirit in that patrol that they are designing who they want to be. It increases that patrol identity to the point where they are preparing themselves for a venturing program where they are going to be completely in charge, and adults are way more hands-off in comparison to Scouts BSA. You're preparing them the right kind of mentality. And what that does for your younger scouts in the program is they look up to your older scouts to say, wow, those guys are in that patrol and they get to do this. They get to maybe go on their own camping trips, things like that. It's kind of that awesome goal for them to look up to. So creating older patrols, there should, like I said, probably certain criteria for joining, such as an age. Maybe you have to be 14 years old, 13 years old, something. A rank, maybe you need to achieve first class, star, something like that. It's probably a good base. They've gone through all the really the foundation of scouting, but now they need to go and work with the leadership of scouting. The general attitude, is this something that they can handle? Are they've shown that they're able to be in that patrol? Does their behavior warrant that as well? So the criteria for that really would be set by the youth in that patrol. Maybe they set up their own little set of bylaws or something for that patrol only that just helps them decide the type of person they want to be in their patrol and associate with them in that patrol. And if you're going to turn this into a venturing crew, give yourself a 1-year timeline. Let's say January 1st, you said, we're going to start an older scout patrol and we want that to become a venturing crew. Well, in a 1-year timeline, you get to kind of work that out. Maybe you get your 4 or 5 kids. They strive to get up to first class so they can be in that older scout patrol. They really bust their butt and they want to be a part of the program. And after that 1-year timeline, I'm sure you would have a group of 4 to 5 scouts that genuinely want to be a part of that program. And whether or not you want to go the route of building a venturing crew out of a venture patrol in a unit, you've either way created capable older scouts who have now kind of taken it upon themselves to be the better ones, the people that demonstrate, the people that help out in their troop. And that helps Scouts BSA leaders and kind of makes them want to strive for more. And we're going to talk about a little bit in a minute about how venturing crews can recruit to Scouts BSA. Those are the types of scouts that venturing crews obviously look for because they want leaders. They want the new leaders that are coming into the program and really creating venturing into a youth-led, strong program that it can be. Again, Baden-Powell, call it an experiment. And this is short and sweet. And I think makes perfect sense. We shouldn't throw out the rules or regulations of BSA. They are 100% important and critical. However, there are silly rules sometimes. For example, I hear a lot of people say venture crew, but it's actually venturing crew. Now, that is such a silly rule, for example, or a silly thing for me to get upset about, and I would never do that, but some people do. The reality is that there are some silly things, some silly barriers, maybe the way we've always done things, the tradition. This whole program is an experiment in a way. So as long as we are following BSA guidelines at all times, there's nothing wrong with trying to do something a little different with the older scout program, with creating something for your older scouts to be a little bit more engaged in your program and making them better candidates even to go and move on and do more in scouting in the future. So let's talk the other way now. venturing crews recruiting Scouts BSA. So first thing that venturing crew advisors should do is email an invitation to 13-and-a-half-year-old Scouts BSA youth and adult leaders, inviting them to join venturing. This is similar to kind of what we do with Webelos to Scout transitions, where the Scoutmaster reaches out a little, probably, I don't know, about 6 months or so prior. It's usually August, let's say, August of the year that they would cross over, in telling them who they are and saying, I'm the Scoutmaster of the troop in town. We look forward to having you in a few months. If you have any questions, things like that. So this is that opportunity to the 13-and-a-half-year-old Scouts BSA and their parents, inviting them to join venturing and including a little information sheet telling about important details of your crew. This, I think, is really important because a lot of people want to understand maybe what the calendar is, what has this crew done in the past, what about venturing here? And this is an awesome little opportunity to give a synopsis of this is our crew. This is what we do. And including that, especially in your invitation, you've attached some more information. If somebody wants to learn more, they can open that right up and learn as much about your crew as they want to. I also recommend inviting adult and junior leadership of nearby troops to open houses and meetings held at the regular crew meeting time. The cool thing about this, and I think this is a good different approach to venturing, is we often go straight for trying to recruit from the youth in there as well. But if we can forge those relationships with the adults and the youth leaders in those units, we start to kind of break down the barriers of the bad rap before, and we demonstrate that venturing is here. We're willing to work with those Scouts BSA units, and we're willing to work to help not only make them better, but give them an opportunity to work with us. Maybe we do programs together. Maybe the crew and the troop can share leadership. If they need a little bit of help teaching something, you have a venturer that might know something. You've created this relationship, and now it maybe becomes a more natural pathway to have a crossover, so to speak, of a Scouts BSA to a venturer. Venturing crews can also, so some of the leadership positions, for example, the senior patrol leader is similar to the president in a venturing crew, and assistant senior patrol leaders would be similar to a vice president. And those vice presidents can have different functionalities. So one of the recommendations that I was able to pull up was appointing a vice president to serve as the youth crew membership chair. This person would actually work at the district level, a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, with the district membership chair to kind of learn where to target those 13-and-a-half-year-old Scouts BSA youth, find opportunities for them to market a little bit to units that may be prime candidates to have venturers come out of. And an important part of this is training. And training for both youth and adults is an important component because venturing is a unique program, and the youth need to understand the program in order to best market it, but so do the adult leaders. And if adults are going around and saying a lot of, it's just like Scouts, this is like Scouts, well, the kids are going to show up and think it's just like Scouts BSA, when in reality, this is a unique program, and the differences should be used to market the program, and certain similarities between Scouts BSA, but generally how it's different, how this is a new thing, how much better it might be for that child's age group, for the maturity level, et cetera, et cetera. Now, one last thing I want to bring up about venturing crews, and this is more of a long-term goal or a little more complex goal, is considering a linked unit model. So we see these with boy troops and girl troops all pretty often. So they're two separate units, but they're linked through the chartered organization and the committee. They can operate together if the youth would prefer to do that. So here in this model that we see on the right, we see that there's a Cub Scout pack right at the bottom that feeds into a boy troop and a girl troop that are both chartered out of the same charter org and have the same committee. But there's a venturing crew right in the middle. So once you get to those 14-year-olds to 21-year-olds, because you may have some assistant scoutmasters and such, they kind of cross into that program as well. So it's almost, you have a feeder program through this linked unit model. Again, this is a longer term option, but even if you don't opt for an exact linked out of the charter org model, like mentioned before, by having these open houses, by having an open relationship with the local Scouts BSA units, you do open up the door to even do some of this stuff without actually having the paperwork say that you're chartered out of the same place or at the same committee. You've learned to work together, you've learned to cross those leaders in between each other, and you've learned some of the best ways to be able to work together as a unit. So the bottom line again, and to kind of wrap things up, is that venturing is still not older Scouts BSA. And training is the easiest way for adults to understand how venturing is different. And I think that venturing in itself is a great opportunity for Scouts BSA's leaders to be able to demonstrate what the youth can do more beyond what's in Scouts BSA, to discover something new. Is there something that their troop didn't do? Is there something that they still want to do in this program and get out of this program? And venturing can offer that. Not just being an adult leader, because for some youth that's a little daunting. Maybe it makes them feel old or something, I'm not sure. But being a part of something where they're still kind of in the program and still youth, venturing is a great opportunity for that. Thank you for attending this evening. My name is Aaron Christian. I am a membership and unit service executive for the Mayflower Council. If you have any questions about the content in this presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via email at aaron@mayflowerbsa.org. Thank you.